Why was the Council of Kings initially meant to target Earth 616 with the might of the entire council during the scrapped Kang Dynasty event film? The single most persistent threat pertaining to the Kangs is the fact that they are dead set on annihilating one another, conquering as much territory as they can possibly get their hands on. This has led them to war with one another countless times, ensuring that no timeline is safe from their grip. But recently, it was revealed that the three main members of the council were all going to converge on Earth 616, leading to the battle of biblical proportions, and of course Kang Dynasty, leaving absolute calamity in the wake of their united conquest against the heroes of 616. So today, let's talk about the original leak for Kang Dynasty, proposed by the leaker, Exiled Scooper, as we cover new information about the film that we will unfortunately never get. Recently, we covered the first leaks that came out surrounding the Kang Dynasty story, so this video will act as something of a companion piece to that video. You don't necessarily need to watch that one prior to understand this one, but they complement each other nicely for the full story if you're interested. There will also be some contradictory claims between this video and the other one. This comes down to the simple fact that multiple drafts were penned, with some variation between ideas, so exactly how they would have fit together and what they would have been cut like is currently unknown, but we'll be sure to talk about that towards the end of this video. This video will specifically focus on the long-term fate of Earth 616 and their war with the Council of Kangs. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The Council of Kangs would have been led primarily by three main variants according to leaks and new information. Those variants were Immortus, Rama Tut, and the Scarlet Centurion. Importantly, these are the same three variants of Kang that we saw at the end of Ant-Man Quantumania. It would have been revealed that the Council is extremely protective over access to the multiverse, as they want to make sure that it only has variants of themselves that can access other timelines and no one else. Remember, Kangs are not superpowered or supernatural in any way. They are just human scientists and scientists that have access to multiversal technology. Their arsenal are compiled of a few different gadgets and tools that they found on their journeys, mainly from looking at and stealing tech from advanced timelines. And it's important to remember that it's rare that they invent very much of their own technology for themselves. What this means is that Kangs aren't inherently all that special, and if others could venture into the multiverse, then they would have a very easy time becoming more powerful than any variant of Kang. According to leaks, stewardship over the multiverse is the main motivation of the Kang variants for the Kang Dynasty. This isn't a war with one another, or at least it hasn't started that way. Instead, the Kangs want to isolate multiversal access for only themselves, but one reality in particular has become particularly problematic in this regard. The Council was to realize that one specific timeline was currently responsible for more multiversal meddling than any other reality that we know of, and that was Earth 616. Doctor Strange and Spider-Man have both ripped open the fabric of the multiverse, and now America Chavez calls this timeline home. Since she's the only one that can naturally venture across the multiverse, America would likely be a particular target of interest for the Kangs, and while her involvement isn't directly confirmed in the leaks, it makes sense that they would have this connection. Nothing in the information directly states that the Kangs want America, but if they're targeting Earth 616, then it's important to at least remember that America is there, and that if the Kangs found her, they would likely want to hone in on her ability. They also referenced the fall of the Exiled One, which was the variant of Kang that had taken over the Quantum Realm during the events of Quantumania, with this being his new official term, the Exiled One. Since he was defeated by Ant-Man, they understand that the heroes of Earth 616 are a legitimate threat, and many of them do have the capacity to stand up to the full council. This would then motivate them to go full scorched earth. The invasion that would have commenced is described as monumental destruction of unparalleled calamity, as the Kangs attacked Earth 616. There would have been no safe haven on Earth whatsoever, as they are facing down the invasion of not just one, two, but three of the most powerful variants of Kangs in the multiverse. Their warships would have taken on Earth by storm, leaving our world as nothing but a barren wasteland of ash and soot. This would have been the single most cataclysmic force that Earth had ever seen, and it would have quite literally been the end of the planet as we know it. The final remaining corner of salvation would have led the heroes to Wakanda, led by Sam Wilson's Captain America, as the group hunkers down and endures the complete annihilation of their reality. From here, three different teams of Avengers would have been formed, each with their express purpose of hunting down one of the three primary Kangs as a sort of hit squad. Captain America would lead the primary faction against Immortus, while Spider-Man takes a unit to face down Rama Tut, and Strange would lead a Cosmic Avengers force against the Centurion. Against the backdrop of the Avengers teams, world leaders would be marshaling their own forces for war, including a brand new unit of adamantium-based Sentinels created at the command of President Ross. Allegedly, the Sentinel program would have not been specifically designed to target mutants, but instead would have had a general last line of defense against anything that the government deemed as dangerous. But we'll be releasing a full breakdown on the Sentinel leak and everything that it means, so be sure to keep an eye out for that video. The leak states that the Damocles base, the warship that the Kangs most often use, is orbiting planet Earth, and this is where Captain America was focusing the majority of his attention. It was then revealed that Rama-Tut has made his home somewhere on the surface of the planet, though exactly where was not confirmed, and given the designation of Doctor Strange as a cosmic Avenger, it can be reasonably theorized that the Centurion is somewhere in deep space, and that the cosmic team would consist of the likes of Captain Marvel, Thor, Peter Quill, and other spacefaring heroes. But this is where things get interesting. The idea is that this Kang was actually attempting to target other worlds, but this isn't detailed in the leak any further. What the leak does suggest, though, is that the Avengers have faced a horrendous, monumental defeat at the hands of the Kang Council and their armies. And if this is to be believed, then the Avengers would have been decimated, with only a few survivors remaining as the twilight of the battle came to pass. Right now, it is believed that the roster of survivors was Captain America, Spider-Man, Thor, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, Ms. Marvel, Doctor Strange, and the Hulk, but everyone else would have died. This would not have been ambiguous like the situation with Thanos, where half of all life was removed from existence, and this would have felt much more absolute. In the days following Infinity War, many fans were immediately convinced that the decimated heroes would be sent to the Soul World, and that this was the only possible way that they could return, with at the time how the Infinity Gauntlet actually functioned being still a mystery. With Kang, though, this would not have been up for debate. These heroes apparently would have been killed outright. Shuri, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Blade, and so many others would have met their ends in some way or another during the Kang invasion. The survivors, however, would have discovered a bunker constructed by none other than Tony Stark in the event of a worldwide cataclysm event, but the remainder of the world beyond this bunker would have been thoroughly eradicated. The post-credit scene, however, would have seen one particularly nefarious variant of Kang return. The Exiled One, otherwise known as Warrior King from Quantumania, would have showed his face yet again, and not only did he survive, but he had a massive power boost. When he was supposedly defeated at the end of Quantumania, he was actually pulled into some sort of neighboring realm, similar to the Quantum Realm without being a proper timeline or universe. The working title for this realm would have dubbed it the Beyond Zone, which seems to indicate that Kang would have assumed the power of the beings known as the Beyonders. In the comics, the Beyonders come from a realm outside of the multiverse, and it seems as though this would have been the MCU adaptation for this same domain. Whether or not the Beyonders could be found here, or if he himself would have become an adaptation of the Beyonder is unknown, but we personally believe that he would have taken a page from the story of God Emperor Doom. In the original Secret War story arc, Dr. Doom stole the power of the Beyonders and used it to forge the domain, which he deemed Battleworld. And it seems like Warrior King would have become the new God Emperor of this Battleworld. In order to do this though, his first threat would have been the Council, finally declaring war on his variants and bringing an already ruined Earth 616 into the crossfire between the two of them. Where this leaves the Avengers is in a particularly precarious state, where they are in the midst of a war between two independent factions, but it also doesn't address the existence of Battleworld or the multiversal overlap between heroes like Deadpool and Wolverine. In our last video, we talked about the claims that the original Kang Dynasty script would have been led by Spider-Man, who assembled multiversal Avengers with the aid of the TVA. If the previous leaks are to be believed though, then the TVA would have assembled a team of anchor beings in order to stop the Council of Kangs, and it's possible that this is the team led by Spider-Man against Rama-Tut. As for Battleworld, however, this idea seems to indicate that Battleworld wouldn't have been a collision of different realities after the death of the multiverse, but it would have actually been the charred remains of our own beloved Earth 616, indicating that the multiverse may not have been destined to die in the first place. This detail is an integral crutch that supports so many theories on this channel before, and the idea that the multiverse is destined to end just like it did in the comics is a hugely vital aspect to what this arc entailed. If it was just Earth 616 that had to die, then this would mean that nobody had to challenge Loki. There wouldn't need to be an overlap of multiversal heroes for any reason other than fanfare, and nobody would need to construct the multiverse as we know it, according to these leaks. In the comics, the survivors were forced together because there was nowhere else to go, but according to this breakdown, this may not have been true for the film. It also doesn't address the reformation of Earth 616, which may lead into a soft reboot idea where the survivors had to take pieces of other realities in order to survive in the future. But without a full project looked into, I suppose we'll never truly know the true fate of Avengers Kang Dynasty. But anyway friends, what do you think of this idea proposed by the exiled Scooper, and what it would have meant for the end of the multiversal saga? Would you have liked to see this version of events play out, and do you think that it sounds like an interesting film? As always my friends, thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. Hulk smash that subscribe button for more Marvel updates and lore, and have a great one.